Let me tell you about an experience I had that changed the way I date forever. And it starts with fixing a simple mistake that I see being made all the time.
Oh Lord, it's good to be here with you, Mr. O'Brien.
So I'm about 15 or 16 years old. I could only dream of dating someone this time. It was completely out of reach. Now I knew a few people at my school, but there was one person that I really wanted. The crush. And I had to make it happen somehow. I had to figure it out. And in that process, I made a terrible mistake. Okay, but what is this mistake? And why do I see so many people do it constantly without even realizing it? Teenage me didn't know how to talk to people that I liked. But you know who did? The internet. Perfect, I thought to myself. There's no way this person won't like me now because I have all the information on the planet to make them like me. Look at all these videos, I thought to myself. 10 things they'll do if they like you. 4 subtle hints they want you. 6 signs they don't want you. 15 or 16-year-old me ate that shit up like it was a freshly made apple pie. This wealth of sudden information was almost too good for me to be true. It was like I discovered the secrets to love and romance. I'd never be alone ever again. Then it took a turn for the worst. You see, it didn't change the fact that I wasn't confident with myself, and it turned into this game of educated guessing instead of just doing. Whenever I'd talk to this person, I'd think to myself, oh my goodness, they remembered something I said a while ago, they must like me, but they take a while to respond to my messages. Maybe they don't like me. They have their feet pointed at me, they like me, they said the thing that the video told me that they would say. If they like me, but they're talking to someone else. And now I feel jealous as heck. And here's where we get into the source of the problem, the overwhelming amount of dog shit dating advice. In my opinion, dating advice on the internet, I'd say half the time is not worth following, especially advice for the early stages of a relationship or even before one. But at the same time, it's actually really good advice. In the right circumstances, you see, and situations, certain dating advice can be outstandingly good. It can be amazing. I've seen and heard of a lot of times where this kind of advice has put inexperienced people on the right path. But I feel like a lot of the time, this kind of dating advice is very counterproductive and sometimes manipulative. I was stuck in what many people would call analysis paralysis. I was stuck in this limbo of guessing and doubting myself, and I got nowhere. But how does this mistake play into the game-changing dating advice? And what did I change to date this person? Some pretty generic advice that I'm sure you've almost all heard of is to listen, be authentic and confident, making yourself awesome in general with or without someone by your side. I think we all have at least a loose understanding on what it takes to be more dateable, how to be more attractive, but how do we know what to do with that attraction? How do we know if it's actually working? And what do I do in those rare circumstances where this advice doesn't apply? Get to know people and then choose who chooses you. No more guessing. This advice is terrible if you don't remember the most important part of it. Should you settle for less if they choose you? So if someone chooses you, should you change your standards purely because you want someone in your life? Absolutely. If you want to make yourself feel miserable. I've been there, I've done that, it's a recipe for disaster. What choose who chooses you actually means is to invest your time and energy back into someone who's going to reciprocate that energy because they are at least interested. But how do you know? I'm going to go ahead here and make a huge assumption. You want to date a reasonable person. How would a reasonable person act if they were interested? Well, off the top of my head, usually most confident people would ask questions about you. They might initiate conversations with you often. I find that when I'm talking to less confident people, they're at the very least reciprocative. As they open up with you, they'll be more than happy to talk about all kinds of things. It's very straightforward and simple stuff. They'll make it very obvious. Heck, they might even straight up tell you. Maybe your friends will tell you. As long as you give it a chance. Get to know them. Most people aren't going to show anyone any feelings at all, unless they at the very least know them to some degree. I mean, that's what first dates are for, to get to know someone, whether or not you like them. You know? Now, this still isn't end-all be-all advice. Everyone's very different. My point is, usually, 9 times out of 10, it'll be extremely obvious if someone likes you, assuming that you at least kind of know each other and you're somewhat comfortable. But what if I'm still not sure? And what has choose who chooses me done for me long term? And how did I change so I could finally go on a date with this person? Well, I have 2 flawless, right, absolutely flawless ways to find out whether someone likes you or not. But you need to strap in because they're very straightforward. I warned you, okay? So the first one is telling them how you feel. This can be a really risky one. Whenever I do it, I gotta be acutely aware of my situation and who's affected by it. Sometimes, some places, and some people, I think it's just a big no-no. And I also gotta put on my big shoes and get ready for them to say no, because that might happen. There's a high chance I might get rejected, and I had to be prepared for that. But as long as you're familiar with each other and mature about it, I don't understand why this advice gets such a bad rap. I've had some people come up and be honest about their feelings for me in the past. Even in the moments where I had to turn them down, they were very respectful about it and mature, and we were able to move on, like adults. I feel like being honest about your feelings is a really good last resort if you have to. So you can just shut your brain off and go, well, that sucks, but now I can move on, you know? What about the second way? Well, the second option is what I go to if I can't tell them about my feelings, and it's a last resort for me. I read Girlfriend Crack by Burlesque. No, but seriously, I just move on and focus on other things. Focus on myself. Okay, I make it sound easy, but sometimes it's really hard for us to deny ourselves the imagination or the possibility of a relationship with some people. Maybe it's a certain person. It's rough, but we can't make other people like us. This has worked so well for me in the past. It's such a trusty approach. And the reason why I think this is a win-win is because if they really do like me back, and perhaps they just didn't know how to express it, or they didn't have the confidence to tell me, they would introduce themselves back into my life and make their feelings painfully obvious to me. I trusted in that occurring, and it did sometimes, and sometimes it didn't, and that was fine, because I'd focused on something else and made that thing in my life better. Even when they did come back into my life, sometimes I would have moved on so much that I don't even care anymore. Okay, but choose who chooses you. Has it actually worked in my life? Without a doubt. In my most recent relationships, I feel so much more confident and certain, and I can just be myself. I'm not constantly worried about, does this person still like me? I did this, and oh goodness, I think I need to do this, and this person will like me more. I don't care about that as much anymore. Now, what did I do? What did I change about myself to end up in a relationship with this person that I was crushing on so hard in my younger years? Nothing. I never went on a date with them because I never had the courage to change and improve myself until I was much older. I never got to choose someone who chose me because I didn't know who chose me. I didn't talk to anyone. I never gave them or myself a chance. But now that I've taken the guesswork out of my dating life, it's gotten so much easier. Now I'm confident that if I want someone to like me, anyone at all, I have to like myself first. Have you got a first date coming up? Maybe you want to take someone you already love out on a date. Well, I have a video for you. It's here.